Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 4th of July. I want to give everybody a big round of applause. Happy 4th, happy Independence Day. We are on day 4. Day 4. We are on day 4, ladies and gentlemen, of our 31 days of football as we prepare for the preseason. I want to give a big shout out to the Wrench Gang, shout out to the family, all the listeners and watchers. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss content and more just like this. All right, we're on day 4. It is July 4th, 2023. I want everybody to first and foremost have a safe holiday. Do not drink and drive. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. All that good stuff. Stay safe out there. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Before I get into the Broncos, I want to say it's very important that you guys to be aware of your surroundings. Watch out, for your friends, your family, all that kind of stuff. There's, crazy people out there. But always have fun. Don't let that deter you from enjoying yourself and enjoying the day. But be watchful, be vigilant, and be swift while you're out there. All right. Shout out to you guys. We're on day 4. We've been rocking and rolling with this thing here. We're doing 32 teams in 31 days. We are on day 4. We covered the Bears. We covered the Bengals. We covered the Bills. And today we're doing the Broncos. We are covering the Broncos. Obviously, there's so much that we could talk about in regards to Mr. Russell Wilson. But, I'm just going to give you, what? Let me just slow down a little bit. Let me not give you guys as much excitement, It's just another day. It's just, another stream. It's just another team that we're talking about. It's not like you guys have invested much into this channel and to me, so I'll just sit here and talk like this and be non-excited about talking about this team. Because that is exactly what you guys got last year by giving $250 million to Russell Wilson. Of course we're going to talk about it because it's absolutely ridiculous. He's the number 4 highest paid quarterback in the league. And what did you guys get for it? This face? Look at this face. Look at this face. This is the face of a man who gets tucked in at night by Sierra because of what happened in 2014 in Super Bowl 49. He's still getting coddled because of what happened against the Patriots. Every night she tucks him in and reads him a playbook story from that game of what play he could have done and how he should have handed the ball off. And he could have won the Super Bowl. Shout out to Mo Hammond. Shout out to Bob Evans. What's up, man? Michael Perez says, come on, man. New coach. Hey, listen. We know what Sean can do. We know what Sean Payton can do. The question is Russell Wilson going to get the job done? Right? He's got the tools. He's got the support. Is he going to make the difference? Let's look at the defense. Let's talk about the defense, right? The chemistry there. Whether or not that defense actually believes in their quarterback. Whether or not that offensive line believes in their quarterback. Whether or not those wide receivers believe in their quarterback. But hey, let's talk about stats. But before we do, look at this face. Look at this face. Look at that. Look at that. Look at his face. Now, obviously, he's a starting quarterback for the Broncos. But why isn't he smiling? He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look like a man that just got paid $250 million. Look at these guys. Look at Jarrett Stidham. Second string, he's smiling, right? We got third string, Jarrett Guarantano. He's smiling. He's happy to be with the Broncos. Ben DiNucci. Look at him. He's smiling too. But Danger Russell Wilson, he looks angry. He looks like someone who's mad to have been paid all that money. A lot of guaranteed money, may I add. But hey, Let's go over the stats. 3,524 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He ended the season 27th with a QBR of 36.7. In fact, it was the lowest QBR of his entire season. I'm not making this stuff up. The stats are right here in front of you. Look at this. Look at this. Every year since he was with the Seahawks is higher than the year he started with the Broncos. The lowest in his entire 10-year career. Played 15 games, 292 completions on 483 attempts, 60.5% completion rate, 3,524 yards. His average was 7.3, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 67 was his long, 55 sacks. 55 sacks. Hey, this is why the chemistry between you and your offensive line is so important. Those guys make sure that you're taken care of. Those are the guys that make sure that you have the time to throw the ball. Those are the guys who are going to protect you so that you can figure out where your receivers are on the field. Maybe you want to buy those guys Rolexes or something. Take them out to dinner. Do something. But you need help. You need help. So we're going to go ahead and get into the roster. Obviously, Russell Wilson starting quarterback. Jarrett Stidham second. Jared Garantano third. Ben DiNucci is fourth. As far as running backs, Javonte Williams starting. Samaje Perine, Tony Jones Jr., and then Tyler Beatty is fourth. Your receivers, Jerry Jeudy starting. KJ Hamler, Kendall Hinton, Jalen Virgil. Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Montrell Washington. It's really interesting to see Jordan Humphrey being third, but hey, it's, he's been in the league for a while now, Tim Patrick, Marquez Callaway, Brandon Johnson, Taylor Grimes. For your tight end, Greg Dulcich, Albert Obungbunam, Adam Troutman, Chris Manhertz. For your fullbacks, Michael Burton. And then for your left tackle, you got Garrett Bowles, Cam Fleming, Christian DeLauro, Alex Polzewski. Left guard is going to be Ben Powers, Quinn Bailey, Henry Bird for the third string. Lloyd Cushenberry III is going to be your center. Luke Wattenberg, Kyle Fuller, and then Alex Forsyth on the fourth string. Quinn Mernez, Kyle Fuller, Will Sherman. And then for your right tackle, Mike Glinchey, Isaiah Prince, Demontre Jacobs. Listen, if I was Russell Wilson, I'm basically making sure that all these guys are taken care of. I'm making sure that my offensive line has has a bunch of gifts. They're eating good, and we're building chemistry. We're having a good time so they can protect me. But we'll see. We shall see if Sean Payton will get all these guys together. Shout out to Nate's edits. What's up? What's up, Nate? What's good with you, man? Happy 4th to all you guys. Turbo in the building. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Please don't drink and drive, and I can't stand people who break the law. Turbo out. Shout out to you, Turbo. Bob Evans says, I said it 3 months ago on your channel. Broncos go to the bowl this year. Did you switch from a Cowboys fan to a Broncos fan, Bob? Is that what you're telling me right now, sir? Granzler in the building says, happy 4th of July, Jay. Shout out to you, Granzler. Happy 4th to you and yours as well. Happy 4th to all you guys, all the listeners and watchers. All right. Getting into the defense. Starting Frank Clark, Matt Henningsen, Jonathan Harris, Tyler Lancaster, DJ Jones, Mike Purcell, Iyuma Uzurek. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. PJ Mustafer, Zach Allen, Elijah Garcia, Jordan Jackson, Baron Browning, Nick Benito, Aaron Patrick, Christopher Allen, Alex Singleton, Jonas Griffith, Ray Wilburn, Seth Benson, Josie Jewell, Drew Sanders, Justin Sternad, Randy Gregory, Jonathan Cooper, Marcus Haynes, Pat Surtain II. He had a great year last year. Jonathan Cooper, Marcus Haynes, And then Kareem Jackson, Caden Stearns, Delaren Turner Yell, J.L. Skinner, Justin Simmons, P.J. Locke, Devin Key, Damari Mathis, Riley Moss, Trayvon Smith, and then Jaquan McMillan is your fourth string. As for special teams, Elliott Fry, punt kicker, Riley Dixon again, and of course punt return, Montrell Washington, and then Mitchell Furboni. Now, getting into the stats. Shout out to Forrest, says Bob, get off the... All right, getting into the stats. Total points per game last year, Denver had 16.9. Their opponents had 21.5. So roughly, Denver's opponents scored 4 more points than what they did, right? I mean, that's basically a field goal, right? Total points, 287 versus 359. Total touchdowns, 29 versus 35. Total first downs, 300 versus 324. Rushing first downs, 105 to 109. Passing first downs, 166 to 180. First downs by penalty, 29-35. Third down efficiency, 67 230 versus 75 to 220. Third down percentage 29.13 versus 34.09. Absolutely terrible on almost everything. If you're looking at like a kid's progress report, they'd be failing everything right now. Fourth down efficiency, 12 of 24 versus 9 of 14. Fourth down percentage, 50 versus 64-29. There is a lot that Sean Payton has to fix and take care of with this squad this year. Passing completion versus attempts, 345 versus 571. Opponents, 392 and 605. Net passing yards, 3,592. Very interesting, versus 3,574. Yards per pass attempt, which is surprisingly more than the 6.3. Net passing yards per game was 211.3 versus 210.2. Passing touchdowns, 18 versus 20. Interceptions tied at 15. Sacks and yards lost, 63 versus 415, which is damn near double of 36 versus 245. Rushing attempts, which is actually very good. Were great rushing. 444 yards versus 438. Rushing attempts. Rushing yards were 1,935 versus 1,866. Rushing yards attempt, 4.4 versus 4.3. Rushing yards per game, 113.8 versus 109.8. Listen, they did a great job rushing. That's not Russell Wilson. Not at all. Rushing touchdowns, 11 versus 12, so just one less of the competition. Total offensive plays are just one shy. Total yards, 5,942 versus 5,685. Yards per game, 349, 334. They had more total yards, and they averaged more yards per game than the competition. Yet they still lost and had a terrible season. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Penalties, 113, 907. Average yards per penalty, was it 57? Yeah, 57 for the per game. And then time possession, 29 minutes, 57 seconds versus 31 minutes. So, a lot to unpack there if you're in that coaching staff. And, I can kind of see why they decided to fire the coach. And a lot of people blame that on Russell Wilson, but hey, there's so many different things that you need to do as a coach to get your team prepared, especially if you have a veteran quarterback. But I think too much money was spent on Russell Wilson, and that's money that could have been spent somewhere else to make them better in different areas. Bob says, Jay, most must have lost money on Russell Wilson at some point. I didn't bet on Russell at all last year, my friend. Not at all. And you know what? I'll show you why I didn't. Hold on. Let me just go back here. Let's just go back to last year. All right. They started off against the Seahawks, lost in a 1-point game, right? Barely beat the Texans. Interestingly enough, beat San Francisco by 1. Lost to the Raiders by 32-23. Lost to the Colts in overtime, 12-9. Lost to the Chargers in overtime, 19-16. Lost to the Jets, 16-9. Won against the Jaguars by 4. Then went on after their bye week to go on a ridiculous losing streak. Was beat by the Titans, beat by the Raiders, beat by the Panthers, of all teams. Beat by Baltimore, beat by Kansas City. Which was really interesting because it was kind of weird. It's almost like they had Kansas City figured out at one point, but then just like dropped the ball and gave up. Because they could have beat Kansas City a couple times. It was really interesting. Won against Arizona, lost against the Rams. Wasn't this like Baker's like ridiculous game? Like nobody expected Baker to have the game that he did. And he put up so many yards and so many touchdowns. Lost 51-14. Unbelievable. Lost against KC again by 3, 27-24. And then lost again, won against the Chargers 31-28. So, no, I did not have my money on the Broncos at all. But hey, getting into this year's schedule. They're going to start their week 1 against the Raiders. I just don't see how. I don't have any faith in Russell Wilson. I don't. And I think right now he's playing for his job. He's not playing for the love of the game. He's not playing for a legacy. He's playing to keep his job, to keep that check, to keep the bag at this point. A lot of people would think or would like to say that Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not putting him in there. I'm just not. But hey, starting off with the Raiders. I think the Raiders take this one. I think they may squeak by the Commanders. If Tua is playing at his elite level and he doesn't get injured, I think Miami's going to take that one. Chicago, I think Justin Fields puts on a show. Maybe a blowout there. Jets going up against Aaron Rodgers and company. Yeah, they're definitely going to lose there. Kansas City Chiefs, hey, if they're able to figure out Mahomes and keep it a close game, maybe they squeak one out. Maybe. But I'm not taking them for the win there. I'm still going to go KC. Green Bay, Jordan Love, new team, new chemistry. You know, they might sneak something there. They go against KC basically back-to-back. Right after Green Bay, they're back facing them. So I'm going to go KC again. Monday Night Football in Week 10 against the Bills. Yeah, I know I'm going my Bills. That's automatic. Shout out to Bills Mafia. Minnesota Vikings, Cousins and company. That's going to be a win. Cleveland Browns. This will be an interesting one. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. I may lean more towards Russell Wilson on this one. I just don't feel like Deshaun Watson's it either. I really don't. Texans, they'll probably take that one. Chargers, Herbert and company is going to put a hurting on these Broncos. Detroit Lions, Jared Goff and company. I'm going to go Detroit on that one. Patriots, just at a loss of words for what's going on in mass right now. But I'll take them. I'll take the Patriots. Chargers, back-to-back. I think they take that one again. And I think they might finish the season with the win against the Raiders. I asked the question. I said, hey, do you guys think that the Broncos will have a winning season? 54% of you out of 28 votes said no. I am going to agree with all of you who voted no at that 54%. I don't see the Broncos having a winning season. And that's my take, ladies and gentlemen, for your 2003-2024 Broncos. And it's really unfortunate because I wanted to see Russell Wilson be great. He's got the tools. He's got the defense. The run game is awesome. I just don't know if he has the heart to go out there and still play at an elite level and win. Maybe he got too much money, right? If you notice, and I'm not going to say this for everybody, but if you notice, there's certain teams or certain individuals on certain teams who, once they get the bag, they don't play with that same grit, that same hunger, that same fierceness to go out there and win. They've already got the money. So they just have to do just enough to collect it. We shall see if Mr. Russell Wilson will show up this year or not. Am I going to completely write him off? No. You know, I hate seeing anyone in the league do terrible. But the reality is this. He didn't show anything last year for the money he was paid. So is it possible this year that he could come back and say, hey, I am Russell Wilson and I'm worth this amount of money? Well, he's got the tools to do it. It's up to him and Sean Payton to put things together. So, Cassandra Largo says, seems like you're only going off of how our offense was last year. I'm going to be honest with you, Cassandra. You're only as good as your last game. Right? Obviously, we approach preseason, week 1. You guys know I'm going to do prediction videos, go over power rankings. We're going to come back and reconvene and talk about all this stuff. But right now, as it stands, we don't have anything to go by. So I have to go by last season, right? Even with, projections and what people would hope to see, they hoped that Russell Wilson was going to be great last year, right? Like, hey, we give him all this money. This is what we're expecting you to do. You don't pay someone that amount of money just so they can come in and play like trash, right? Just saying. Michael Press is exactly doesn't put any thought about them playing our defense. Michael, your defense is only as good as if you win the game, right? So even if we take out the offensive picture, which I have done that, let's go back to last year. Look at all these losses. 33-23. Loss to the Colts, 12-9. Loss to the Chargers, 19-6. Loss to the Jets, 16-9. And you could say, okay, our defense kept them to 12 points. Our defense kept them to 9. Our defense kept them to 6. So then, yeah, let's blame it back on the offense. Later on in the year, you got KC with 34 points. You've got the Rams with 51. Did our defense just take off? KC again with 27, and then the Chargers with 31. What happened? Mordo says it's impressive they beat San Diego last season. Listen, I'm not here to beat up on the Broncos, but there has to be realistic expectations into understanding what needs to happen and what needs to change when we go into next season. And that's just the reality of it, right? Because just like I said with the Bills, it's very easy for me to be biased. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to go 17-0. No. If once we get past week 8, once the Bills get past week 8, it's going to be very difficult because all those games are stacked against us. And if our defense falters and if we play the same way we did last year, we're going to end up right in the same boat and might not even make the playoffs. That's the realism of that. That's me being realistic and being unbiased. So shout out to Bob says, and that was with a QBR of what you say 36. Yes, his QBR was 36, lowest in his career last year. So, but hey, I could be wrong. I'm hoping that I am, and I hope that you Broncos fans are here to prove me wrong, because I like to talk and I like to talk about it, and I'm hoping you guys will prove me wrong with your Broncos and Russell Wilson and Sean Payton and what they plan on doing. The reality is this: the man is playing for his job, so I do expect to see some kind of effort, right? And we'll see. So Cassandra says, yeah, only our offense, but got to put up more points. And yes, Russ was the problem. First 3 or 4 losses, missed open receivers in the end zone at the end of the game. Yeah, I mean, when you break down a lot of the plays that were ran last year, I want to say that Russell Wilson looked out of place, right? He doesn't still have that same arm strength that he had over the years, right? So you may want to go ahead and put him more on, shorter pass plays. His deep ball was really unfortunate. How many times did he miss Jerry Jeudy? I actually called some of those games with you guys, and I did. And I was like, wow, like you've got Jeudy wide open, but hey, the ball's not there. Cortland Sutton, ball's not there. But like I said, we'll see if they made the proper adjustments this year and they come back and have a winning season. But for right now, I just don't see it. That's my take. Bob says he has one of the best QBR average in the last 10 years. Well, hey, there was talks about the things that Pete Carroll seen in Russell Wilson, and that's why he was okay with letting him go and bringing on Geno. And maybe stop it. Dog's playing with stuff he's not supposed to. Maybe, him seeing Russell Wilson on the decline is kind of what deterred him and said, hey, I'm fine with letting him go, letting him move on. And then the Broncos thought, hey, we've got a veteran quarterback who's going to come in and do what he needs to do and basically put the team on his back. It's not always someone else's trash is the next person's treasure. That's not always the case. My big thing is this. I think he was paid too much money. I think you guys could have allocated a lot of those resources in other areas, maybe in the offensive line, maybe on the defense, and make him earn it. Give him more of an incentive for those dollars opposed to just so much guaranteed money. But hey, that's it. Shout out to you guys. I want everyone to have a happy 4th of July. Be safe out there. If you are drinking, please do not drive. I would hope to see all of you guys back tomorrow. We are keeping it going. This is day 4 of 31 days of football as we prepare for the preseason. Shout out to all you guys. Thank you for being here. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out.